Hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter, and I just finished taping an episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, or Tyler and Mike. They're brilliant hosts. You've got to listen, you've got to see. Count It Out. Yeah, I endorse it. They've got the After Chat seal of approval.
Hey, this is Myung Jae Lee, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pal, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and shit. Did you just bite me, Mike? Oh, did you just throw a chair at my head? My name is Tyler, and I am joined by a feisty Mike over here. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Fuck you. That popped me, man. That fucking popped me hard. Holy shit, do we have some stuff to talk about tonight? This is I'm gonna tear it right back. We are going to be counting down the top 7 backstage fights, and I think everybody knows why we're doing it this week. Holy fuck, is there some AEW garbage to talk this week? My Christ.
Big time. Just real quick before we talk about the big news story of the week, and we're gonna talk about that and rip right into the list, but I just want to say that everybody needs to go out of their way to watch the WWE Clash of the Castle pay-per-view. It was really good. The main event, match of the year contender, Sheamus and Gunther was fantastic, and a great heel turn by Dominic Mysterio. I don't want to run down the card. I just wanted to say that if you haven't watched it, it's been fantastic. It was a great card. And also, quick plug to our friends over at Barry Wrestling. Huge show this weekend. Walking Weapon Josh Alexander is going to be there. Santino Marella. Fresh off of their appearances on AEW, which was awesome. Myung Jae Lee was on there. He got a really unfortunate boot to the face by Morrissey. It was a lucky shot, though. I think Jae Lee, I think he's got his number on the next time. And huge love to our friend Isaiah Prince, who worked a dark match as well.
Absolutely, man. It was cool for us as Barry Wrestling fans to see that shit go down. I wish we could have been there. You and I gave a lot of thought to traveling to Buffalo for that. But I made the call for myself. It was also, that happened to be the day of my son's first day of school. I couldn't not walk my boy home from school on his first day. So we didn't go to Buffalo, which is unfortunate. We would have saw some really cool shit. And being able to share in some really cool moments with some people that we're lucky enough to call friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially Jae Lee, yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
And coming off only a few weeks separated from seeing Big Ben on SmackDown, it's really cool for us to see these guys that we've been really invested in over the last year, these guys that we've been spending a lot of time with and really getting to know. These guys advancing their careers like this and really getting seen by the people that should be seeing them. It's very cool to be seeing this stuff. And honestly, and it couldn't be happening to the nicer guys. Big Ben is one of the coolest guys we know. Jae Lee is one of the nicest, most humble people that I've ever met in my life. I don't know Daniel Garcia personally, but if I'm going to trust the word of everybody I know at Barry Wrestling, he's got to be a cool dude. So yeah, I'm really excited for our friends.
Yeah, me too, man. And same with Isaiah Prince. He's a great guy. I've had many great conversations with him. Check him out on AW Dark. He was on.
Isaiah's one of the very first people we met in Barry Wrestling.
That's right.
He was there. He and Jae Lee were at our very first show. It was their first show as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got to have some nice chats with Isaiah, and a lot of good chats with Young Jay, and those friendships have kind of stuck over the year, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot to talk about, and unfortunately, we can't spend too much time. I could spend the whole show talking about how proud I am of those guys and how much we love them. Yeah. But let's just get
talk about the people we're not proud of.
Yeah, AEW, what the fuck, man? Like, you guys,
Was that AEW or did we take a time machine to fucking 1999 and go to Atlanta, Georgia? Because that felt like some fucking WCW bullshit to me.
Okay, let's start with what happened then. They're doing their media scrum, and CM Punk just lost his mind. He finally hit his breaking point. You could tell that this was probably boiling and stewing in him for a while, and he decided that the time to let it all out was sitting right beside his boss in a media scrum in front of the whole world to see. He ripped on.
You know what? And I'm not trying, sorry to cut you off, but I'm not trying to defend him at all, and I won't be defending him through this. But I will say this: he's never been given a reason to think that is inappropriate at a media scrum, because Tony Khan himself has lost his temper at these things. Tony Khan himself has acted like a fucking petulant child at these things and said some really unprofessional stuff, dropping F-bombs and all that. So why wouldn't your world champion act like a little pissy child?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I understand if it's one thing if you want to go off on the Colt Cabana thing, and again, it's not appropriate. I'm not going to justify when I'm talking here. This is not me justifying anything CM Punk did, because I do think he is 100% in the wrong. I think everybody is in the wrong in this situation. There's nobody that's right here. But you gotta, if you're a wrestling media and a journalist that is in these scrums, like, guys, people like who are asking these questions about Colt Cabana and these media scrums are what pisses me off, because we're trying hard to get to these scrums and to be a part of these scrums and to ask these questions. I would never ask a question about Colt Cabana at an AEW media scrum. Punk said it best. I haven't been friends with this guy for a fucking decade. Who gives a shit about Colt Cabana and CM Punk in 2022? Yeah, you know what? They were friends and now they're not. Guess what? I've lost friends over the years too. Does it suck? Sometimes. Does it suck? Sometimes not. Doesn't sound like Punk really gives a shit anymore.
And guess what? But does it suck 10 years later? Usually not.
No, it doesn't.
But what does suck is when people's like, "Hey, are you friends with him? 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 What about that guy? What about that guy?" I can understand why that's frustrating. I can.
So now Punk is pissed off and he's fired up and he's going off and on. And now, there's been boiling stuff going on between him and Hangman Page for months. And Punk made the comment, "You jeopardized our first $1 million gate." I took that comment to be like he almost walked out and didn't show up to the paper. That's how I read that comment. I don't know about you.
Me too.
Because I don't know how else you can take that, right?
That's exactly how I felt about it.
So here's a point I want to make before we get into the brawl. And this is and to be clear, in my opinion, everything that happened 100% falls onto Tony Khan. This is all his fault. So
I could not agree more.
And you can even take it steps further. Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara having their problems. Malachi Black's asking for his release. Like, shit is hitting the fan here, guys. And this whole thing with Punk goes back to his build with Hangman Page, where he felt Hangman Page set a line that was disrespectful towards Punk, and not building their story, but taking a shot at kind of, people took it as Hangman burying Punk about ruining the locker room. And it didn't really make sense for their build, and Punk got pissed about that. Here's where it gets tricky for me, Mike, and I don't know if you've thought about it in this angle. And I was listening to Post Wrestling today, and John Pollock brought this up, and I want to give him the credit for that because I really respect John Pollock. AEW is a promotion where you have made your name off of saying, you come to our company, you have freedom. We don't script your promos. We're not going to do this and that. We're not going to control you. Well, guess what? These guys are going out here and they're saying things, and it's, everyone has a line and everyone's line is different, and that's cool. But, it's a work, guys. And if it's not a work, you got to get control over your guys. If Hangman's going out there and saying a line that pissed off Punk, Tony Khan's got to be there and be like, "Listen, I'm giving you this freedom. Don't go onto my TV show and fucking go into business for yourself." You know what I mean? And right then and there, Punk's pissed off. He should have said something to Tony Khan or to the Bucks or to Kenny or whoever is in that role, and they should have sat down in a room and squashed it right there. That's how
1,000%.
That's how adults handle things, right? And then you get Punk going on TV and retaliating, doing the same thing. Punk's not working a program with Hangman Page, and he's going out there and calling him out as a receipt. He should have been fined. He should have been suspended, something, right? You can't let the inmates run the asylum like that. But Tony,
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Right? He turned a blind eye to that.
That was the exact term I was ready to use. Because what is the number one thing that you hear when talking to, you listen to interviews from guys who were there from, let's say, 1997 to 2001 in WCW. The same term comes up over and over again: the inmates running the asylum. And that was what the downfall of WCW was.
I think it's so funny that Tony Khan always talks all this shit. Him and Eric Bischoff have this feud, and the same thing is happening right now. That happened. 100%. Like, Tony, come on, man.
Tony doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. What pisses me off, he spent that media scrum bitching and whining about WWE, like always. Saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm breaking my first $1 million gate, and they want to jump in on it. They want to piggyback on my weekend. Oh, I'm not going to put up with this shit." Number one, shut the fuck up, because every other company in the world has been doing that to fucking WWE for the last 25 years, and they've never complained about it.
Did Ring of Honor not run a show WrestleMania weekend? Like,
right? So shut the fuck up. You have no leg to stand on there. But also, if that is true, take that as a fucking compliment.
Exactly.
They need to piggyback off your show. Or just thinking outside the box here, instead of using your media scrum to bitch about the other company for the 2000th time, maybe look inward and talk about your own fucking company. Maybe instead of, talking about them, talk about the fact that you just put on probably the worst pay-per-view in your history.
Do you honestly think...
And I truly believe that. I think it was a horrible show, dude.
I agree with you as well. Do you honestly think that one single person was like, "Oh, you know what? WWE NXT 2.0 is running a little bit before AEW. I'm probably not gonna pay for AEW. I'm just gonna watch NXT 2.0, the show that was put together in 2 weeks." Like, obviously that one was a strike. Castle wasn't a strike. That show had been planned forever, man. Like, they don't give a shit when Tony Khan's running the show. They're running a stadium.
Exactly.
So anyways, back to the media scrum, and now Punk's pissed off and he's going off on all the executive vice presidents, the Bucks. He's not naming names, but it's the Bucks and Kenny, saying that they're not even.
But he brings up the EVPs,
yeah, he's saying that they're not even fit to run a Target. Tony Khan is sitting right there. How do you not stop this? How do you not stop this? And Tony plays into this saying he likes the real life tension because it makes for good TV. Well, guess what, Tony? You fucked up. Like, there's no coming back from this. Now. Punk finishes.
Did it make for good TV tonight when your heavyweight champion wasn't there? Did it make good for good TV today when, even though I'm not fans of them, two of your biggest draws in the world and the Bucks weren't there tonight?
Kenny,
did that make for good TV?
They had to. They
I don't think so.
They stripped them of the 6-man titles.
Did they strip Punk as well?
Punk's injured, legit. He's got to get surgery. He's toast for a while.
But did they take the belt off him?
Yeah, they're having a tournament. They announced a tournament that will finish at the New York Stadium show.
Oh no interim champion? No,
I hope not. I think they're going. I think they're going champion this time. They didn't say the word interim. They said the crown, as far as I know, at least.
All right. So let's keep going. He leaves the table for the media scrum, and they move on. I believe it was Swerve Strickland next, right?
Yeah, and then the security gets seen running to the back. Jericho, I don't know if you heard this part or not. Jericho finished his media scrum and he leaned over and whispered to Tony, some shit went down. I don't know if you saw that or not, which I thought was, which was pretty funny.
I believe the word melee was used.
yeah, that's how it's been described. Now there's, we don't exactly know 100% what's happened, but the speculation is that the Bucks and Kenny went to Punk's locker room. Some people are saying they kicked the door down or barged their way in. Things got aggressive. People are saying Punk threw the first punch. Ace Steel got involved because his wife was in the room and he got really protective over her. He threw a chair that allegedly knocked out Nick Jackson, or hit him in the eye at least. I've heard he was knocked out cold. I heard he got hit in the eye. Again,
at the very least, I heard he's got a black eye.
Yeah. Ace Steel then pulled Kenny Omega's hair and bit him. Okay, so let's dissect this for a minute. You've got one of your agents, an Ace Steel, and you've got your top babyface or top star in the company. Because say what you want about Punk, he is their top star.
100%.
It is what it
he's
is,
your
right?
he's your newly crowned world champion.
And then you've got your three. Let's not. These guys aren't wrestlers in the company. They're executive vice presidents. Now, say whatever you want about what their duties actually are. People say they're just titles.
No different.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, this is no different to me than if it was fucking Triple H and Shawn Michaels attacking Roman Reigns.
That's exactly what this would be like. Maybe not Triple H now. Maybe Triple H while Vince was still there, right?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That would be like DX coming in.
I just don't know. I just don't know the hierarchy anymore. I know Sean's pretty up there. I don't know who else is there.
It'd be like Sean. It'd be like Sean and like Nick Khan coming in and just laying haymakers down. Like
Nick Khan is the CEO of the company.
I don't know. I'm just making up shit now. But yeah, it'd be like if Vince was still in charge, it'd be like Sean and Hunter coming in and fucking Pedigree and Sweet Chin Music people. You guys,
people. He bit him.
Did bite him. That's wild. Mike Tyson.
What the fuck is going on?
Okay, now let's take the focus away from Punk and Steel for a minute here. Kenny and the Young Bucks. You guys are in a management position. Yes, you're on-screen talent, but that's not your role in AEW. That's just a part. That's your small role. You guys are executives.
When Punk leaves the ring,
you're his boss. Yes.
When you leave the ring, you are an executive vice president. You are in charge. You are the boss.
Yes.
You know, I can't attack. Like I'm a manager at a restaurant. I can't attack my servers. I can't bite my servers.
I mean, I have been a few of my servers in the past. That was in my single days 20 years ago. That's a different story. Hey, what's going on?
Right.
But I was just gonna make that point, Mike. That would be like the equivalent of like my server complaining about me, or you know what I mean, another server, and me walking in and fucking punching them in the face and yelling. Like that's not how you manage people. If there's a problem, you know what I do in a management position. Now, granted, I'm not managing a multi-million-dollar. Well, actually, you know, our restaurants are $1 million, stores, right?
100%.
Like
100% they are.
I'm not taking my staff or my talent and I'm not running up at them and getting in their face and fucking in that spot, you guys need to take a step back. Yeah, you know what? Are you pissed off? Absolutely. And should you be pissed off? 100% you should be pissed off. But you can't go in there aggressive, and you got to take a couple deep breaths and you got to walk in and you got to sit down and you got to talk that shit out. You know what I mean? Like you can't. That's not how things work. You can't do that. It's absurd.
And at the end of the day, while I'm glad they were all suspended, now I don't know if they're suspended from their EVP roles as well or just from in-ring talent. I don't know the specifics of that, but I'm glad they were suspended. But I still say that Tony Khan has a lot of work to do right now to clean up this fucking mess. Because right now, he's the only one who looks like a fucking idiot. They're showing him as the main man, as the boss. Right now, they're showing him zero respect. And why should they? Because he obviously hasn't fucking earned it yet. So he needs to fucking grow a pair, stand up and say, hey, assholes, I'm the fucking boss. Start fucking acting like it. This is what we're doing. And he needs to fucking start laying the law down. Until we see that happen, I have lost all respect I have for this company. Not that I had a lot to begin with, but, I think, unfortunately, I think I'm done. I think they've lost me.
So as we're recording this, this has just been released. The Young Bucks side of the story has come out.
Oh, okay.
So I'll read a little bit of it here. They claim that they did not kick the door down, that Matt Jackson opened the door calmly, and not calmly, but that Matt Jackson opened the door. Before he could say anything, Punk went off and started throwing sucker punches at Matt's head. Nick went to intervene, and Ace Steel allegedly threw the chair that hit Nick in the face. So that's how apparently it started. I have heard that Punk threw the first punch. Now, apparently, Kenny Omega's involvement was said to be him trying to remove CM Punk's dog from the situation and keep him safe because he was barking and going nuts.
Why the fuck did he have his dog there?
Punk always says Chicago. Punk always brings his dog to the show. His dog was running around the arena. and their side of the story was once he handed Larry off, he tried to get Ace Steel off of Nick Jackson, and that's when Ace bit Omega and pulled his hair. And then all parties apparently kept shouting, and Punk reportedly threatened legal action against the Elite. So that has just been released about an hour ago. Poor Kenny Omega just trying to save a dog, and he's getting bit.
Not even by the dog. If you would have told me the fucking dog bit him, I'd be like, all right. It's like, can you imagine this? Like, tell the story to anybody outside of the wrestling world. Hey, man, there was this big thing, and this guy, Kenny, he was trying to subdue a dog, and he got bit. Well, the dog bit him? No.
No, Ace Steel bit him.
Yeah, Ace Steel bit him. Oh, man.
No.
Hey, just a couple days ago, you were telling me Ace Steel's your new favorite fucking wrestler. Ace Steel can suck all the dicks in the world.
I never said he was my favorite wrestler. I liked him in ROH back in the day. He had some guy. I enjoyed his run in ROH back in the day. I was a big fan of the Second City Saints. I've always been a Punk fan.
I know.
But I think
Ace Steel's a fucking dildo.
Punk's an idiot. You know, you can't do that shit. Like, so if you're Tony Khan, what do you do here? Do you fire Punk?
I say yes. You need to make a fucking example. You need to show that this bullshit cannot stand. Maybe don't do it right away. Maybe say, hey, pending an investigation.
Which is what they're doing now. Apparently there was a Zoom meeting today.
But if it comes out that CM Punk started this shit, that this is true, that Matt and Nick walked in, and all of a sudden he starts fucking throwing fists, and there's chairs going on and biting happening, and it could have been avoided, but fucking CM Punk had to go that far. Fire him. Because I'll tell you right now, if it was anybody else, they would already be gone.
Yeah.
The only other person in that company I would say is probably just as protected as CM Punk as maybe Chris Jericho.
And Moxley.
But if it was, but in Moxley. But if that was fucking, I don't know, Swerve Strickland or Ethan Page or Jungle Boy doing the same shit, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. We'd be talking about how we got fired.
That, and you know what? And I'm not gonna sit here and try to justify that, but that's that's just the way professional wrestling works, man. There's some people that the top guys have more rope to hang themselves with. You know what I mean? That's just the way that's business, and I don't agree with that.
I miss the old days, where Ultimate Warrior was a fucking top guy, but he pissed off the wrong guy, and he was fired by the time he hit the fucking backstage that night.
No, that's because he held up Vince for more money.
That's what I mean, though. Like, Vince didn't give a fuck that he was the top guy. He said, I'm not letting this shit stand, because that's not the kind of example he wanted to set for his fucking staff. He didn't, because if he would have gave in that night and not fired him, that sets a precedent. Well, unfortunately, I feel that's what Tony has done. He set a precedent. If he doesn't take care of this right now, he sets a precedent that my people, my staff, my crew can do whatever the fuck they want, and there's no repercussions.
This injury to Punk also, it takes away from any suspensions that he has, because he can't appear anyways now, unless he suspends him without pay. But
well, that would have to be it.
This is a fine line to walk, though, because Punk got hurt inside of an AEW ring. So I don't know.
He got hurt before.
He got hurt in the match. Yeah, he got hurt in the match.
Even though it was only a little bit. Yeah, so there's a fine line there. What I would do, let's say you're not going to, let's say he's not going to get fired, okay? Let's say it's only a suspension. You hand down this suspension, even though he's injured anyways. When he's ready to come back, you fine the fucker.
That's what I would say too. That's what I was just gonna say as well.
So you pay him the money. You pay him the money that you owe him during injury, but then you say, but before you're allowed to step a fucking toe in my ring, you're gonna give me $10,000, $50,000, $100,000,
whatever it is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't, bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. And him being injured, it's a blessing in disguise, because he's not gonna be around. You know what I mean? Like, everything's gonna have a lot of time to cool down if they choose not to fire anybody. And
now I do believe the Jacksons and Kenny, whether they were in the right or the wrong, it doesn't matter. They need to appear in a meeting before the rest of the roster and apologize.
1,000%.
They do.
Because
They need to apologize
they didn't
to their
act like
staff.
executive vice presidents.
No, they
didn't.
did not.
And you know what's even worse? And I'm going to speculate here because I just feel like, just knowing human beings, the way that we're built, I have a feeling like when Hangman went out there and made those comments that he made, that the Bucks were in the back fucking giggling and probably, egging it on. And, instead of being but that's human nature. So, but you're in a management position. You can't do that. Like you're not one of the boys in this case, This is a fucking massive wrestling company. You are the number 2 or number 3 wrestling company in the world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't act like you're on the fucking indies.
If you're Cody Rhodes right now, and you sitting at home just giggling, going, holy fuck, like I dodged a fucking bullet here. I have a feeling this is part of the reason he jumped ship. I really do. I think he saw the writing on the wall. He saw how they were acting as EVPs. Yeah. He saw where CM Punk's fucking head was going, and he jumped ship before it got too bad. I truly believe that.
I hope that Tony Khan has at least learned something from this. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get on top of this shit. Vince wouldn't let shit like this happen. He had fights in the backstage, and then we'll talk about them obviously today, but they happened, but Vince handled them. Fucking the Rougeau brothers punched out the Dynamite Kid's teeth with brass knuckles, and Vince sat them down in a room together. And then they worked 3 weeks later at the Survivor Series, or however long it was later, a couple months later. Exactly. Like, that's how you handle shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. But
say what you want about Vince McMahon. The man was a boss. The man was an employer. He knew how to run a business. He was a businessman.
The last thing I want to bring up about this, and then I say, unless you have anything you want to bring up is, before we get to the list. Hey, did you know MJF returned this week? That should have been a huge deal.
It should have been. It's been completely overshadowed. Number one, they brought him out in the worst possible way. I hated everything about it. Everything. The whole Joker bullshit. So fucking stupid. However, even if I didn't hate it, it wouldn't matter because we're not talking about that, are we?
Nope.
Name anybody the very next day after that pay-per-view who was talking about MJF.
Not one person. Nobody. No one gave a fuck. The first thing they advertised, and they started advertising during the pay-per-view, MJF will speak on Dynamite. I forgot about it. And then I saw him speak tonight, and I was just so confused by it.
Yeah.
Did you see his promo tonight?
No.
Well, ask for
was it had something to do with Triple H and
yeah. First of all, he came out as a babyface. He was wearing a Buffalo Bills jersey and he cut a babyface promo. And then Moxley came out and was like, get out of the
the night before he came out doing that thing with Stokely.
So he came out, cut this babyface promo basically saying, I need to be the leader. I will be the leader that AEW needs. And then Moxley came out and was like, you're full of shit. Get out of the ring or I'm going to get you out of the ring. And then MJF was like, yeah, this place sucks. You're right. I only want to be the champion so I can up my wager for 2024. And, maybe I'll take the belt to Triple H and I'll call my good friend Cody Rhodes and I'll go work for the only good con in the business. Hey, Nick, what's up? Like, okay, yeah, the promo was funny and it was good promo, but like, why are you putting over the competition on your TV? What are you doing?
The only thing they know how to do. We've been
WCW.
We've been having the same broken record conversation for almost 2 fucking years. They don't learn their lessons. What have they gained from doing this in 2 years? What have they gained from it?
Nothing at all. It drives me absolutely fucking nuts.
This is 100% old school WCW.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
That's the feel I get from the entire product.
Absolutely, it's ridiculous.
Listen. You want to make me fucking watch a product and have it feel like WCW 1992 through 1994? I'm fucking there.
Hey,
but you give me a product that feels like WCW 2000? Fuck you.
You know what I really was enjoying? AEW when they were being AEW.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Anyways,
No, I get it.
I'm fired up. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. Mike,
Well,
I'm also
we're gonna talk about people getting fired up, bro.
yeah, I did no prep for this list this week, so I've got a
I've
couple
done
in
no
my
prep
head.
for this week.
So classic. Let's just fucking rip through. We're gonna rip through some of the
I
top.
wrote down 7. So here's the list. My list is the top 7 craziest backstage fights. Okay, not the best backstage fights because I don't know what makes a good backstage fight. This has to be like insane, crazy to me. Like how did this happen, kind of thing. That's my criteria. However, let me tell you something. This you have to be on the clock. It has to be behind stage or like traveling like in a plane or something like that.
So
okay?
we're not gonna see Sid and Arn.
We're not going to see Sid and Arn. We're not going to see Sid and Pillman. Nothing. No bars.
But he's got a squeegee.
I know, because there is somewhere out there. We've got a top 7 bar brawl list. There's enough bar fights for its own list. I think I want to save that. There's been some crazy bar fights out there. This has to be either backstage or on like a tour bus or an airplane or something like that. You got to be on the clock.
All right. Hammer me with your number 7.
So number 7 is my number 7 because it's crazy, but it's not exactly a fight. So that's why it's in the number 7 spot. It's more of an attack. Oh, that's the other thing. I just want to put it right out there. The one backstage brawl I'm not talking about today is the Bruiser Brody incident.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't consider that a fight. I consider that a
Murder?
premeditated murder.
Yeah.
That's not a fight. I saw that on a couple other people's lists. We will not be talking about that tonight. Okay, my number 7. Speaking of attacks, this isn't a fight. This is an attack, but it's crazy, so it made the list. We're going to Vince McMahon versus Nails.
I love that this is on your list.
So I'm trying to remember the dude's shoot name. It was Kevin
Wazinski or something like that.
Wazinski or something like that, right?
It's something like that.
Dude was fucked in the head, right?
Yeah.
Like he did a bunch of weird shit.
Yeah,
But the weirdest of all was attacking Vince McMahon, I believe probably over money.
It was about a SummerSlam payoff. It wasn't happy
Right,
with the
that's it.
SummerSlam payoff.
Yeah. And he didn't like the answers that Vince gave him, so he literally choked Vince out. Like he just put his fucking hands around Vince's neck and choked until he was purple. Now he would get his comeuppance later on when he basically single-handedly costed the United States government the case against WWE in the steroid trial.
Yeah, did he say like Vince tried to sexually assault him?
Yeah.
I mean, knowing Vince, he might have.
Maybe. He said, but he didn't offer him $1.5 million in hush money, so that's where he went wrong.
It was the 90s. It wasn't as acceptable as it is today.
Yeah. So he said a lot of weird shit in that trial and basically costed him that trial. So he got his comeuppance in the end. But yeah, no, he just went full loco on Vince and just choked him until now. I believe he got fired swiftly, like that day kind of thing. But you don't choke out the boss, man.
No.
Moving on to my number 6. This is crazy because it's crazy who won the fight, but also if you're in this guy's shoes, why would you pick a fight with a guy this big? We're going Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, yeah. I would never want to fight Rick Rude.
I wouldn't want to fight the Ultimate Warrior.
I would rather fight the Warrior. The Warrior just looks big. Rude looks like he could. And apparently, Rude was legit.
The man was a walking steroid. You know what I mean?
Which one?
Well, I'm talking about Hellwig, but like honestly, back in this day, I want to say this is what, early 90s.
Yeah, it was very early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, maybe. You
89.
put the two of them together. I'm going to tell you, from a layman on paper, I'm saying that Rude's probably the underdog in this fight. Well, no, because he fucking just clocks the motherfucker across the face. I guess what happened was Just like a lot of people, Andre the Giant being one, a lot of people were complaining about how stiff he was in the ring, and he didn't give a fuck. He being Warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior liked to stiff a lot of people, especially with his clothesline. There's a very famous story of him constantly stiffing Andre, and finally Andre had enough and just put out his fist like this.
I put that as my honorable mention just because I thought it was so funny.
The only reason it's not on the list is because it because it happened in the ring. But Andre hated him for it. Rude didn't like it either, and he kept telling him, he's like, "You gotta settle down, man. Calm down. Like, you can't be doing that shit." And he says, "I'm the Ultimate Warrior. I can do whatever the fuck I want." So Rude punched him in the fucking head and knocked his ass out.
Apparently, Rude was legit like one of the toughest guys in the back.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that, to be perfectly honest.
No,
Like, yeah,
neither
he
would
was
I.
big. He was big, but he didn't. Maybe it's because he was so good at his character. He was a pretty boy. He wasn't. I wouldn't expect him to be like. You look like Road Warrior Hawk, and you're like, yeah, that guy's a tough motherfucker. I wouldn't think that looking at Rude. My what was that, number 6?
Yeah.
My number 5. We're going to Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. And
Get your
he's taking on
flip-flops.
Mr. Flip Flop taking on Big Van Vader. Now, this is a time, I want to say this is early WCW.
No, this would be 94.
No.
This was 95.
So because Orndorff was an agent. He wasn't even a wrestler at the time. He was an agent.
This was the end of Vader's run in WCW. He was
Right.
scheduled. He was scheduled for Fall Brawl, and they fired him and sent him to WWE.
So Vader comes in late for his program, and Orndorff's pissed off because they're live, and Orndorff's pissed off. He's like, "You have to fucking go, like hurry the fuck up!" And he's mad because he doesn't like the way Orndorff's talking to him, so he shoves Orndorff as hard as he can in the chest, and he knocks in the chest, and Orndorff goes down. And Orndorff, wearing flip-flops and all, fucking jumps to his feet and kicks the motherfucker in the face.
Yeah, he beat up Vader good.
It makes me so happy. apparently, Mr. Wonderful was a badass.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't fuck with Orndorff. He was a tough bastard too.
My number 4 is crazy again because of who it is. You got somebody who probably shouldn't be picking a fight with the guys picking on, and then another one of those things. Like, I can't believe who came out on top. We're going JBL versus Joey Styles.
Yes, I'm so glad you put this on. I didn't know if you were gonna remember this one or not.
How could I forget? Joey is every nerd's hero. Every fucking guy like myself who was picked on in high school, you got pushed around by bullies. Joey did something that we all wanted to do and never got a chance. Joey's in the back with Lillian Garcia, and JBL's picking on both of them. He's really giving them both a hard time, especially Lillian. So finally, fucking Joey has enough, and he just throws in a fucking haymaker.
Yeah, he one-punched him.
One punch, the wrestling god, John Bradshaw Layfield, one of the most successful champions in the history of SmackDown, and he put him down with one punch.
Night night.
Joey's no bigger than me, man.
Night night.
What's your memories about hearing about this fight?
I can recreate it for you. What the hell? That's hilarious. Suck it, JBL. Well, I do like JBL now. I love Joey Styles.
I like him now, but back then it was a cheer moment when you find out that fucking fight happened.
Yeah, because JBL was a prick back then,
Exactly. All right, we're doing this real quick, man. We're already into the top 3. My number 3 is less of a fight and more of an altercation. But remember what I called this list. This is the craziest backstage fights. And this is crazy. We're doing Harley Race versus Hulk Hogan.
Is this when Race brought the gun in Kansas City?
Yes! So Hogan and Race are kind of arguing and shit, and
It wasn't Hogan. You know, I'll tell you, I know this story very well, actually.
Okay, go for it.
Harley was pissed because Vince was running St. Louis.
Holy shit, you're right. That's how it was, because he was working. This is the WWE's doing a program in.
This is when Vince was expanding, right?
In Harley's territory, and Harley was pissed, so
Harley
he showed up
like
at the show. Yeah,
showed up at the show and threatened to shoot Hogan.
Well, from what I've read, this is how I understand it. You can never trust Hogan's stories, right? But this is what I heard from Hogan. Apparently, Hogan said to him, he's like, you know, all the stories about you, I figured you come in here with a really big fucking gun. And then Harley turns around and says, it's not that big. And he pulls out a fucking gun. And fucking Hogan just sits down. He's like, fuck, sorry.
sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Hulkamania was not running wild in that dressing room in St. Louis. And Harley Race didn't need a gun either. Harley Race could have probably beat up that entire locker room by himself if he wanted to.
Man, how many guns do you think have been in that locker room between Harley Race and Bruce Pritchard? And
oh, Jesus.
My number two. My number two is fucking crazy, man. And this happened about 20,000 feet in the air on an airplane. Ride? It's not the one from hell, but it's another famous plane ride. We're going Vince McMahon versus Kurt Angle.
I love this one.
With a special appearance from The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's what makes this so fucking nuts. So I guess it all started, I don't know where. So it started where Vince took down Kurt at a show out of nowhere. Like Kurt didn't see it coming. Vince just snuck up on him and took him down. And then he was bragging to everybody, I took down the gold medalist. I took down Kurt Angle. And Kurt was getting fucking pissed about it. So he's like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to fucking get him. And they're on a fucking plane at this point. And Kurt decides this is the place I'm going to do it. And he takes down Vince and gets him down. And then they keep tussling, right? I guess Vince couldn't let it go. So Vince kept trying to go at him through the plane ride. Finally, they're going at it, really beat the shit out of each other in the laneway of the fucking plane. And Taker gets pissed off. He wakes up because he's trying to sleep. Taker's trying to fucking sleep. I think they're on their way to a fucking tribute, the one that tribute the Troop show or something like that. So it's probably a long ride. Taker's probably like the fucking main event or something. He needs to sleep. He's pissed off. All he sees, he doesn't know the background, doesn't know anything. He just sees Kurt on top of Vince. So he gets up, he puts a chokehold on Kurt and puts him to fucking sleep.
Yeah, I heard he thought that Kurt was shooting on Vince and he got pissed and put out Kurt. Yeah.
And you don't fuck with Vince when the big dog's around, right?
No, absolutely not.
Well, my number one.
I don't know what your number one. I think I know what your number one should be, but there's 7 I'm looking at here that I thought would be on there.
I know. It was hard. My number one also involves a plane and also involves Kurt, but not Kurt Angle. We're going Kurt Hennig versus the Beast Incarnate, a rookie, Brock Lesnar.
I'm shocked this is your number one, but this is the fucking craziest one out of all of them.
That's why that's why it's my number one. I think it's fucking nuts because number one, it happened on the fucking plane ride from hell. So that's already a fucking giveaway for number one. But number two, everything that just kind of went around it, and the fact that Kurt Hennig lost his job after this, and Paul Heyman's involvement in getting Brock to start the fight in the first place. So the story that I know, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong here. The story that I know is that they're doing this plane ride, and Mr. Perfect or Hennig got right fucking shit-faced. He was drinking pretty heavily, and he got right fucked up and shooting a lot of shit, and he starts talking down to Brock because Brock was just a rookie. And
Him,
no matter
him,
how
and,
big,
him and Brock were good friends, though. They're actually really good friends.
oh, were they?
Yeah, Hennig
Okay.
was just fucking razzing him up. Like he wasn't like disrespecting Brock. He was just fucking because
I
they were
wasn't
friends.
I wasn't exactly aware of that, which makes sense because they're both Minnesota boys, right?
100%.
Yeah. So, but then Paul Heyman gets in Brock's ear and says, "Hey, man, if you want to save face around here, you want the boys to have respect for you. You can't let this shit happen. You gotta go take care of Kurt." So he took care of Kurt. Fucking 50,000 feet in the air. Fuck, man. That whole plane ride was a mess.
They slammed into the airplane door while Triple H was trying to break them up. All three of them almost went through the fucking door.
Yeah.
Unreal.
The fact that plane didn't go down is a fucking miracle.
These lists, like, there's no judging these lists because they're all just what we like is funny or whatever. So I'm gonna say a couple big ones that weren't on your lists. I got a couple deep cuts that I think you might enjoy as well.
Okay.
Goldberg and Jericho, that was a good scrap in the back.
Yeah.
I got Dan Spivey and Adrian Adonis. So apparently,
I don't know anything about that one.
Apparently, Adonis was disrespecting Spivey in the ring, and Spivey's a tough bastard, and he just whooped the shit out of Adonis in the back. Like it was bad. He really fucked him up. Of course, Dynamite Kid and the Rougeau brothers has got to be mentioned.
I won't lie. I kind of forgot about that. I almost feel like maybe it should be. I might have kicked off maybe Vince and Nails and made a room for that. I really did forget about that.
Brett and Sean had their little hair pulling fight, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's just a legendary one. I'm really surprised that you didn't have Brett and Vince, the Montreal Screwjob. I thought that'd be your number one.
Okay, so Brett and Vince was originally a tie with Nails and Vince, and then I decided not to do it. And because to me neither of them were fights. They were just a guy attacking Vince.
Let me ask you another story. Just a quick question. What fight is going to go down as a more legendary one? Brett punching out Vince or the one that just happened this weekend?
Oh, at the end of the day, in 50 years from now, Brett and Vince.
Okay, that's what I think too.
Sure.
I got a couple more. Batista and Booker T. They had a scrap at the SummerSlam shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was a scrap, but it's heavily rumored that Macho Man and Hogan got into it before WrestleMania 9, and that's why Hogan had the black eye.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever know the truth to
that. Here's a deep cut. Teddy Hart versus the Ring of Honor locker room, where he went into business for himself, doing all the moonsaults off the cage. And the last one I have that I think could be worth mentioning since you're number one, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle when they had their match, they had their fight inside of the ring.
Okay. Again, if it didn't, like I kind of canceled out anything that happened in the ring.
Well, no, this was like for just the boys. Brock and Kurt were rivaling up with each other. Who can top who? Anything you can do, I can do better. Brock said that he could take Kurt down. Kurt said he couldn't. And Angle got the better of them. They had a shoot wrestling match, and just for the boys before the doors open.
There is one that I know I missed. The only reason I didn't even think to put it on the list is because I didn't get a chance to do my due diligence research on it. I don't know enough about it, but I know that there's a very legendary fight between Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle.
Yeah, they were pissed about something that happened in the ring. Hardcore Holly punch out Rene Dupree as well over a parked car thing. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of stories that we don't know about, but
and that's why I brought it down just to just the backstage brawls, because we could probably do another list on bar brawls. We could do a list on in ring brawls. You know when people go into business for themselves. We can talk about Daniel Pewter. We can talk about a lot of shit like that.
Yeah. So, that's a good one. Pewter and Angle. That's a good one too.
So those are all different lists,
Well, that's it, man. That was a fun little heater that we threw at you there. I enjoyed that a lot. Tune in next week if all goes according to plan. somebody better call my mama, because we're going to be joined by Ernest the Cat Miller. I hope, pretty sure it's happening. So tune in next week. Somebody call my mama, 3-time world karate champion. Also a guy who got involved in a great backstage fight with Buff Bagwell.
That's right. That's right. Forgot about that.
Maybe we'll ask him about it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe we will. Yeah.
Have to tune in next week.
And let's just throw that out. I know he doesn't listen to the show, and that's fine. But our best to Buff Bagwell. I know he's having a hard time right now.
Yes.
I love me some Buff Bagwell. So our love out to Buff the Stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you guys have some time, please check out our Barry Wrestling preview show on our YouTube page. We got the barn burner Van Landon joining us, running down the card, talking all about the Barry Wrestling locker room that invaded AEW this week. So if you really want to hear us break down all that stuff, and great stuff with Josh Alexander, because Van had some great Josh stuff to talk about. So check out the archives. We appreciate everything. Count It Out 7 everywhere. Mike, take us home, my friend.
It's a shameful thing, lobster head.
That's an off-air inside joke for Van Landon.
We have been counted the fuck, getting beaten up, biting out.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wait. We missed
What?
one. You missed a big one.
What?
When I told you had no credibility.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hi, you folks out there on the mountain. And you're watching Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Stay tuned.